Warning. You are about to listen to straight white males. They are automatically wrong and the greatest threat to our democracy. If you share this podcast, glorious leader Justin Castro will sentence you to life in prison.
In any case, we're going to head over to Stefan now, and he wants to discuss today surviving in an apartment, a high-rise, which we've never covered before. Before we really even get into that, we got to get caught up with the latest with his community and what's happening there in Canada and all that good stuff. Stefan, take it away.
Hey, Eric. Good to be back on. Yeah, my websites and internet connections and anything technical has been glitching for months now. But, this is the inevitable consequence of creating an insane asylum.
Right.
They spent so much time and effort dumbing down Americans, right? And you can see those videos where they ask, college students simple questions like how many seasons are there or how many weeks in a year, and they can't answer it. They can't name another country in the world. I mean, and they're in college. I mean, this was stuff I knew in grade 1. So what happens is this filters down. These people are all working, and are they doing a good job? I really doubt it. We have so many things screwing up. It makes me nervous. But that's what would happen. What happens when you, the society's gone insane, obviously, and it's become demonic. I'm so sick of the demonic symbolism in everything. Oh my God! I remember when I was like 13 years old. It all started with Black Sabbath. Now I liked Black Sabbath as a band. I liked it back then. They had, their first album was pretty good, with that cheesy album cover with the guy in the pajamas and a sword, But I thought, this is just a passing fad, trying to be edgy, Black Sabbath, It has not gone away. It hasn't gone away in 50 years. And it's just gotten worse. I mean, every halftime entertainment show, every, pop star, every, they all have to have their demonic, look, we know what this is. We know what this is.
Rituals, yeah. I saw one with Madonna on TikTok the other week. There was someone in the crowd that I guess went to it. This was Madonna, and yeah, they were filming it from their phone, and it was clearly a satanic ritual going on stage, and everyone was like aghast. They're like looking at each other like, what did I just walk into here?
Yeah. Well, even the Olympics opening celebrations for the last.
Yeah.
What the hell is that all about? And then the opening of the tunnel there in Switzerland. It's right in your face. I'm a skeptic, and I tend not to believe in supernatural. But oh my God, that Satan has taken over. I'm convinced now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's right in front of us, and I agree with you. We're in an insane asylum, and this is why in our sort of community, our Lord keeps warning: your home is your refuge. And in other Catholic prophecies, start getting your communities together, because there's going to be few and far between places that are going to make it through the insane asylum coming.
I know. But to be honest with you, I predicted all this over 15 years ago when I wrote my book, The Art of Urban Survival. The very first chapter is on psychopaths. Now, I can say psychopath is a psychological term. We can also use the word demon. These are evil spirits. Psychopaths are evil incarnate. And I wrote in my book, that for some reason, and I don't know why, but I think we can guess, that towards the end of a civilization, there's a huge increase in psychopaths. In other words, as our civilization collapses, there's a huge increase in demons.
Well, I agree with that.
So, and then the second chapter is how to deal with angry people, and aggression. We're seeing that now because, again, like I said in the book, when the civilization collapses, there's a lot of angry people around. And this is something you got to keep in mind. You got to be careful when you go out now, people. Yeah. I mean, listen, if you can, conceal carry, absolutely conceal carry anytime you go out the front door. even if you can't conceal carry, carry a weapon with you. One of the best weapons is a walking cane, solid oak or maple, heavy with a crook, with a shepherd's crook at the end, and that's a great weapon. As a matter of fact, it is the official weapon of our community now.
There you go. That'll be like your banner, like when the apocalypse starts and everything. Have a big flag with a big walking cane on it.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, you know, the Egyptian royal regalia is a cane and a nunchaku, eh?
A nunchaku, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or what was that guy's name? Raphael, whoever had the
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
nunchuck.
You know, where you see the pharaoh as his arms are crossed, he's got a cane in one hand, and he's got a flail, which is a nunchaku, in the other hand. Anyways, yeah. Tomorrow night, I'm doing another cane fighting workshop for our community, which is good. And but I think I've created a monster. There's one little old there's one little old lady. She's like 5'2", I think, not even, probably 5 feet, and she runs the local Roadhouse restaurant, and she has taken to cane fighting like no tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, she's
It's like a black belt, huh?
she's dangerous now. It's so funny. You see this little old lady with it. She likes it. She likes the feeling of power of knowing
That's it.
you can kill with this cane. No,
That's
but
it. You will eat this meatloaf.
oh, you don't have
Start
their food is the best I've ever tasted anywhere. Oh my God. But and yeah, so folks, you know, after my chapter on anger, how to deal with angry people, because look, you know, you take a scroll through Twitter or Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube, and how many videos are there of people
Huh?
being sucker punched
Yeah.
and road rage,
Yep.
and then look at what they're, you know, they're going crazy there in Europe with you know, guys running around with knives, stabbing people on the
Yeah.
streets.
Australia too. Yeah. There was a
Australia.
bishop, Orthodox bishop, that got stabbed. I'm not sure if you saw that one, because on
Yes.
TikTok now, I
Yeah.
have a pretty big TikTok channel, and a lot of Orthodox Europeans now are calling for a new crusade. Like they're tired of the nonsense, and they're getting like pretty serious about it. But yeah, World Economic Forum has been telling us, yeah, the world's about to get more angrier. We know CERN is dialing it up, so there's more people becoming possessed, and like you said, more psychopaths. We're now talking about demon face syndrome now. Like, we know these demons are out and about walking amongst us with black eyes and
Yeah.
whatever else that they might be. But yeah, my whole thing, Stefan, is I talked about this actually on the show this morning, so this is great that we can kind of segue into that. I don't deal with it anymore. Like, anytime a troll comes up on my like live show or any, like, I just block them and I move on, because in times past where you want to go back and forth with them, you can waste the whole afternoon, and it's just a wasted afternoon. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
I've never engaged with trolls, Eric. You know,
yeah,
you can say whatever you like on my YouTube channels or wherever, you know, I appear. You can post whatever comment you like. You disagree with me, you don't like me, that's fine. But once you start getting abusive,
right.
I don't engage. I just block you. That's it.
Yeah,
I never reply to that stuff. So if somebody says, "Oh, you know, you're stupid. You got that wrong," okay, fine. You know, I'll take criticism. I don't care. But if somebody says you're an effing a-hole and you should be shot, and okay,
yeah,
bye bye. You know, I'm not going to engage with that stuff. Don't engage with these people. It's not something you can win. It's just a waste of time. You're feeding into them because they want you to attack them.
yep,
You know, it's a kind of like narcissistic supply for these lunatics. Oh,
yep.
let
Fees,
me,
there you go.
let
Yeah.
me get Eric pissed off, and then he'll send me a whole bunch of emails. No, Eric won't send you a whole bunch of emails.
Right. Yeah, like I said, devil likes to sucker people in that way. But man, like I said, it's not going to get any better. Is what was my point on the show this morning. Like, it's just going to get worse and worse, to where even Scripture says, "Brother will hand over brother." There'll be scandals everywhere. People will hate one another. I know I've done shows with other survivalists and people on the Earth Changes side that said, a natural consequence of all this stuff is going to be cannibalism. So I talked about that on the show. Like, don't be surprised by anything like anymore. Like, it's going to get that bad.
Yeah, Canada has been feeling a real cannibal deficit, so we're importing a whole bunch of Haitians.
There you go. There you go.
So
So you guys are getting them though, huh?
yeah, we're deprived of cannibals here. It's sad.
Oh man.
But then the third chapter in my book, The Art of Urban Survival, um, deals with crime. Crime prevention. You got to be really street smart, folks. And I did a podcast yesterday with a prepper group in Ireland
Oh,
called Off Grid Ireland. And
okay.
good people, really good people. And, they are being attacked. They're being swamped. You see, they had 40 years to infiltrate Canada with all the third world garbage that they could. And so now Canada is completely unsafe anymore, unrecognizable as a Western Christian nation. So, but they kind of forgot about Ireland. It was a tiny little country, not that important. And so they kind of overlooked it for a while. Now they're playing catch up. And they're flooding the poor Irish with third world criminals. And they are throwing Irish people out of their homes and putting in refugees. And there was an incident just a couple of weeks ago where they were trying to kick Irish family out of their homes. They have a weird system over there in Great Britain, which includes Scotland and England, of course, where they have things called like council houses. And they got a bunch of bylaws and all that. Anyways, it's a backdoor to screw with you any way they want, basically. So they started to throw out this Irish family onto the streets, and they already had vans full of Afghanis, I think, or Pakis to move in there, and the local people kind of rallied and surrounded the bus and said, "No, you're not going in there. No, they're not leaving." And so there was a bit of a standoff. That's what is happening around the world now, is you will soon be alleviated of your home so that they can bring in more refugees. I have a series of videos. They're actually talks. They're not visual. They're just stories called How It Will Go Down. And, I pretty much predicted all of this starting 10 years ago. But the most popular and influential of these... Influenza, yes.
Bird flu.
Oh, it's a Freudian slip. Influenza, guys.
It was. You almost said it, I think. That was good.
Enjoy the new bird flu. Brought to you by Pfizer.
That's it. Pfizer, yeah. Oh, man. No, monkeypox is the hot one this morning. But
oh, monkeypox. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't that only for the gays or something like that?
Yeah. But anyways, you were saying influential something.
So my most popular video is the last one I made, which I uploaded 5 years ago, and then I took down because, well, it was kind of, politically incorrect. And it's called How It Will Go Down, Diversity Edition. And it tells the story about, a nice liberal family in a nice liberal middle-class suburb. And, well, now the new diversity laws have come through. Anyways, long story short, they all die.
It's a short book, huh? 3 pages.
Yep. And, but I go through the stages of how it all happens, how they all end up dead from this diversity. And, oh, my God, it's coming true now, Eric. The way they're kicking people out in Ireland and in England and throwing them out of their homes. And for those of you who think that, well, I own my own house, they can't do that to me. Well, they can, and they will. Remember, we are here in Canada and the rest of the world, coming soon to America, but you're already like 80% there anyways, under a communist dictatorship. Make no mistake about it. All this madness and anger and people hating each other and crime and depression and suicide and gangs and mass immigration. This is all part of the communist plot to destroy
It's
Western...
utopia.
Huh?
Build back better. It's a utopia, according to them. This is their utopia. This is what I want to live in, right? Famine, pestilences, war everywhere.
Well, listen, they lied to us about that way back when. Um, 50 years ago, 45 years ago, I was working as a detached street worker in a housing project in Toronto. And and this is when they first started bringing in all the refugees and filling up all the, what is it, Section 8 housing. We had the equivalent. And suddenly within 5 years, my neighborhood went from a peaceful country farm setting to inner city ghetto. Inner city ghetto in 5 years. I saw it with my own eyes, Eric. We were talking about that, and they brought up I think it was the Pulitzer study that they did, and well, they lied about it because the Pulitzer study said that people tend to be more racist if they don't actually meet minorities.
Okay.
Right? So the theory was if we bring in all these minorities, people won't be racist anymore. And that was the line they went with ever since. Diversity is
Just have them live with you. Just have them live with you. Just open up your doors, Stefan. Just bring in a couple illegals. Bring in a couple Haitians. Adopt a Haitian.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you should do.
Your life will be so improved. But it turned out that wasn't true at all. They misquoted the study on purpose. And it turned out the reverse was true, that people that did not have a lot of interaction with minorities tended not to be racists, and that the more interaction they had with minorities, the more racists they became. And I can say from my perspective, that's absolutely true. I mean, I wasn't racist until I found myself in the middle of a black ghetto. And then I went, holy F. I don't like these people.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness out there, man, and they're definitely trying to kick up a race war. I mentioned that over the last week here, obviously for a wide variety of reasons, but the latest over like this trivial thing, like black people are now, they don't like that Caitlin Clark basketball player. I don't know if you follow any of this stuff. I don't really follow women's basketball. I think it's personally pretty boring. But there's one player, Caitlin Clark, this little white girl from Iowa. I mean, she's shooting farther than like Steph Curry and hitting. I'm like, this girl could play in the NBA probably. Not do like super well, but she'd do okay. She would score some points type of thing. And all the black people are now coming out and they're just being totally racist against her on TikTok and like, it's just like for no reason at all. Like I said, tying back to our earlier conversation, Stefan, it's like this is just stupid conversations. Like, do people have that kind of time to like stir up the hornet's nest like that? Like, go get a job, go find something to do. Like, I mean, we all can have our opinions, but like some of these things were like, they were just blatantly racist against this girl that hasn't even played one professional game yet. But I don't know, man. That's what I see. I see a lot of race war baiting here.
Sure.
Online here lately, yeah.
That's all part of the big communist strategy. Why do you think, we're being flooded with Africans? Well, because they know Africans are going to cause a lot of trouble, and then the media, and we know who's behind the media, those special people, the one God loves the most, the one I'm not even allowed to mention.
I had Dr. David Duke on yesterday. He did a whole 30 minutes on Jews yesterday.
Oh, I love David Duke. He's great.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, I've done his show on Rents, and he does my show. I haven't had him on in a while though, but yeah, he was on yesterday.
Him and Jared Taylor from Amran, just calm, sensible, not inflammatory, but just saying what the facts. So yeah, so that's why they're here, and it's again part of the communist strategy of tearing us to pieces. But what I was going to say is that you think you own your own home and all that you're safe, but that's not true. Remember that the communists in every country they've taken over have expropriated the homes of the people in their own countries. Take a look at the movie Dr. Zhivago. Do you remember the scene where he comes home and he finds suddenly there's 10 families living in his house?
Squatters.
Squatters, yeah. They were put in there by the government. They were all yelling at them, "How dare you have so much room to yourself? And now the people are taking over your home." And that's going to happen here. Watch Dr. Zhivago. That's what the communists do. And I can give you another example, and that is, a number of years ago, I was in contact with a director of a charitable organization in Vancouver Island called Providence Farm. Now, what this place was, it was a great, what a great organization. It was a charitable organization. They had bought the building, the private school, the boarding school, from a former nunnery that ran a indigenous school for Indians. It was built back in the 1860s. It was really, a classical building, and they had 300 acres. And so in 1979, it was sold to a charity called Providence. And again, they're all Catholics too, Eric. And they were doing good work. And what they did was they turned it into a facility to house people that had, physical disabilities and mental disabilities. And they ran a farm, and they ran a gift shop, and they ran a workshop where they made things and they sold it at the gift shop. And I mean, it was wonderful. And I was talking to, I think she was the chairperson, or the director. Sorry, she was the director. And she'd call me, she asked me, she says, "Well, we're a little bit nervous here." I said, "Why?" She says, "Well, the surrounding 800 acres surrounding their property was expropriated by the government under the UNDRIP laws." Are you familiar with UNDRIP?
No.
Okay. Oh, here's one. I mean, listen, behind the scenes, these people are always figuring out ways to screw you. And, they're not going to advertise it too much. So UNDRIP, let's see. UNDRIP is the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And what they decided to do is they designated those 800 acres that surrounded their property as originally belonging to indigenous peoples. So they confiscated it. They confiscated 800 acres and supposedly gave it back to the indigenous peoples. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, under the, it was the Micmac under the leadership of Chief Goldstein. Surprising.
Well, that's what they're going to do here. I mean, it's in the Protocols of Zion that, they want to take away our land through toxic train derailments and, wildfires started by directed energy weapons, and they want to move people out of their homes and lands into smart cities. You know what I mean? They want to turn it into a wasteland, like your everyday suburbia, into a zombie post-apocalyptic land that would have people wanting to go to these smart cities.
That's basically
that's where we're headed.
And that's where we get to the point of our story tonight, or our topic tonight, and that is, they want you out of there, and they want you in the cities. And so I'm writing another script on how it will go down, except this script takes place in an 80-story luxury condominium in downtown Toronto.
There you go.
Yeah, now, this is based on, everything I write, Eric, is based on my own experience. I'm not one of these guys that, copies and pastes from a dozen other books and sticks it into my own book, which is like 90% of all academic scholarship. It's just, how many times have we've seen all these Harvard professors and presidents? It turns out they plagiarized everything they ever published. I never do that, so it's only based on my own experience. Now, going back 6 years ago, well, Eric, I always struggled financially. I'm used to it. I do what I can. I take side gigs from time to time. And one of the side gigs I took was security officer at a high-rise building. I got friends in the police department. One of them owned a security company, and I told him, I said, I do his website for him. I said, I'm sorry to say, but your website fees are due for this month, for this year. And he said, well, listen, if you want, I can get you a position as a concierge. I said, okay, I'm willing to try that out. So I spent 2 weeks getting my security license. I took the course. I kind of wanted a security license anyways because one of my strategies for surviving the chaos is to use disguises. Now, you know, I've been a volunteer ambulance attendant for many years, and one of my disguises is, you know, the red coat, the red first aid kit, the yellow safety helmet, and I would pass myself off as an emergency responder to get through roadblocks, to get through, you know, riot areas. They're not going to attack the ambulance attendants, unless you're in New York, and then, in which case they will shoot you. But so that was part of one of my disguises. Is I would pass myself off as a first responder because I know enough about the subject. I've worked in it, and I can be convincing. The other thing I wanted to pass myself off as is security. So I've got a green windbreaker that has security on it, written on the front, on the back, all in reflective writing, and I got my security hat and all that. Because people are trained to obey authority symbols. And so we need, you know, it's a principle of martial arts that we turn our enemies' strength against them. So they spend a whole lot of time and money training us all to respond to authority symbols. You know, every time I see these generals up for a press conference and they got all these medals all over their chests, you know, I'm going, fuck off. Excuse my language. You know, piss off. It reminds me of when I was in Scouts, merit badges.
Oh, you know, good old Scouts. How many did you collect? How many badges did you collect?
I only collected like 3.
Yeah.
And surprisingly or not, first aid was one of them.
First aid, there you go. All right.
I've always been into first aid, you know. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm now working in this 80-story tall luxury condominium in the entertainment district of Toronto. And then the power goes out. Now, they're supposed to have backup generators. Guess what? They didn't come on because they weren't maintained. This is a brand new, I mean, the penthouse on this building is like $5 million or more. These were all $1 million condos. And but they don't maintain it because why? Because we are at the end times now, and things like education, intelligence, you know, commitment and responsibility, all that's gone. So nobody maintained the generators. So they were supposed to come on, but they didn't come on. And then you're supposed to have these battery-powered emergency lights in all the hallways and stairways. Well, only a third of them worked. All the other ones didn't work. So when you're in a high-rise building in the hallway and the power goes out, it is pitch black. You cannot see your hand in front of your face. Then I had to make my way down 40 flights of stairs to the basement, to the parking, and guess what? I couldn't drive out because the automatic parking lot doors won't open. There's no electricity. So you can't even get out of there. You can't even drive out of there. And the other thing is, the doors to get in and out of the building are also electronic. So when the power goes out, your fob doesn't work.
Oh, boy.
You know, so now you're trapped in this building. And that's why they want everybody to get into the big city. They want them all in these condominiums. And I can tell you that the condominium that I worked at had thousands of cameras everywhere. But it was to spy on the people that live in the condominiums. I mean, it was absolutely, it's a prison. Condominiums are a prison. And remember, you can lock everything down remotely from the front desk. I can shut, you know, when I was working at the front desk, the concierge position as a security officer, I can shut down the elevators, I can close the doors, I can make sure nobody comes in, nobody can go out, I can see everything that's going on. We got batteries of cameras and surveillance everywhere. unbelievable. I thought you would never get me in a condominium, but that's where they want you to go. Get you out of the cities. They're going to confiscate your house, and they're going to hand it over to the Somalians, and then you got to move to the big city, and go and stay in one of these condos. It's very nice, where they watch you 24/7. Anyways,
Yeah, and I've seen some of these ones that after the fact that happened there in Ohio, not Ohio, Hawaii, sorry. And my goodness, they look like stacked up like washing machines or dryers. You're just like, it's like you don't even have any room to move around it. And you just like open it up. It's like a missile silo, and you just put yourself in there, and I guess that's where you're supposed to sleep, type of thing. It's like it's not even like a city now with some of these ones I've been seeing. So
stack them and pack them. That's what it is.
Stack and pack.
Yeah, and that's why they want to get in there, and that's why they're using every dirty trick in the book to get you out of your home. So
Well,
what would
that's where I've argued, Stefan. Like that's the. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's going to have their own kind of like line in the sand with this. When they do decide to pull out the next pandemic and probably shut down the power here in the West and in Europe.
Yes.
I've heard that they're going to try to go around and force vaccinate everyone. That's going to be a line in the sand for a lot of people. They're just going to pull out the guns and just be like, okay, let's go. It's time to go to war with whoever it is, local, state, National Guards, whatever.
Yeah.
But when we start getting to that level where they're like, you know, you didn't pay your property tax in CBDC or something, like we don't want to be a part of it type of thing, and they're going to put a lien against your house and you got to go. Like that's just where the guns come out. Like there's no other way of putting it. Like it's going to be a fight. Like I'm not going away to no city. You know, I'm not taking no shot. And so I just there's no way out of this outside of a fight. I don't see how it's possible.
No, there isn't.
I mean, I've tried to run through the. Yeah.
I've said that for years. I said, like, you think this won't end with bloodshed? What was that guy there in England that gave the big speech back in the 1960s about rivers of blood in the streets? And, well, that's the way it's going to end up. That's the way it always ends
Civil
up.
War,
You know?
that's what they want. Yeah, Civil War. I mean, they want us to turn against the feds. Then, like I said, you get blacks versus whites, North versus South, this person for that person. It's going to be pure chaos. Again, that Catholic prophecy I mentioned on the show this morning that apparently did get to go through. Blessed Kenori said that when certain signs, she said you would start to hear loud shrieking in the air. The sky would turn a weird color, which is very interesting because I don't know if you know, there's some people that suggest that Iran might have this kind of like frequency shrieking weapon. I'm sure a lot of countries have it.
Yeah.
But it was portrayed in the movie Leave the World Behind. I'm not sure if you saw that movie, but the scene where they all like they went crazy because it was a loud shrieking kind of noise. That. And that's why I tied it into Catholic prophecy today because that's what she said. And then she said all the animals and men brimmed with terror, and then the whole world just aimlessly, pitilessly slaughtered one another. It was like every man for himself, just killing each other.
Yeah,
type of thing. So,
yeah, well, it's not far from wrong, you know, because when I did the research for my books and my courses, I studied history, and the saying that you can vote your way into communism, but you have to fight your way out is so true. This won't end without a lot of blood. It won't. It's probably going to be our blood because the powers that be, they have the huge advantage. You know, they own everything. Yeah, they don't care if we all die. As a matter of fact, that's what they're working towards.
Well, that's what they want. Yeah,
that's exactly what they want. So, if you live in a high-rise apartment, I'm going to name this story "Death Trap," because it will literally be a death trap. Now, in the scenario that I worked out, and again, based on my experience working in these places, and I know what will happen. So the power goes out. Maybe the backup generators will come on. Maybe for a day. Well, maybe 2 days will come on. But then they go out because there's not enough diesel to keep running them. And when you have a national blackout, I'm thinking, because Klaus Schwab and all those other bastards were saying that, there's going to be a blackout. It could be a month, it could be a week, it could be 2 months. Anyways, we know what they're going to do. They're going to turn off the power for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. If the power goes off in the big city for more than a week, 80% of the
Oh,
people in that city will be dead.
yeah. Oh my, I can't even imagine that. Like that is gonna be nuts.
And I worked it through because again, it's based on my understanding of history and what I've read and seen what happened in other countries, and then logic, and then also my experience working in that high rise. I mean, right now these people that live in the high rise. First of all, Canada is like California. Okay, it's so liberal, lefty. It's disgusting. These people are horrible people. You got to understand that liberals, Democrats, they're evil. The reason they are constantly virtue signaling is because they're evil. you know, they don't want people to know. They know they're evil. They're proud of being evil. You got to understand that about psychopaths and demons. They're very happy to be evil, but they know they shouldn't show it, and so they hide behind this. Oh, we care about LGBTQ, KK55, Oh, we care about the immigrants. We care about the poor cannibals in Haiti. They don't have enough people to eat. Let's bring them here,
That's it. We're so tolerant. We're gonna beat you up and kill you
and eat you.
and eat you. And eat you. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Cannibal is the ultimate expression of love.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I talked about on my show today. I said because we are such at a heightened state of self-love in the world, unbridled pride in the world, narcissism, all that stuff, and that's what a demon is from our perspective. It's just they're just pure self-love. They can't love anything. They're just pure hatred, and that's what we're gonna have. Literally, just people turning into demons. I mean, being possessed, and walking around. I just can't even fathom being caught in a city when the power goes down. I mean, for a few days, let alone a week. I mean, just thinking about it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
No one's going to help each other. I mean,
well, not in a big city, certainly not.
Nope.
Those of us that are out in the countryside, and listen, I've been trying to tell people now for years, form communities, go out into the rural areas, make friends with the farmers, volunteer, do something for free for other people for a while, so that people can, develop, know who you are and trust you, and. I've been doing this now for 3 years in this community. I can't walk down the street without people waving and saying hello. Everybody knows me. This big luxury condo downtown is like the height of fashion. It's very trendy and very upscale and all that because they're all liberals and all that. But they're all going to be dead in a week, and I'll tell you why. If the power goes out, then the elevators go out, and then there is no water. Now, you can last 4 days without water. You wouldn't want to because after a day or two, you are going to get a splitting headache that all the Tylenol in the world is not going to fix your headache if you don't have water. A couple of times it happened to me when I was living in California because it's so dry there, and I forgot to hydrate enough, and I'd get this splitting headache. Oh, my God, my head is killing me. The only thing that would cure the headache, I got to drink 6 liters of water over a period of 2 hours.
Oh wow, that much.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, because you need 6 liters a day, right? Anyways, and if you become dehydrated, you got to replenish that. So it was my fault, because I went up mountain biking up in the mountains in the Sierra Nevadas. And it's beautiful up there. But it's very dry. It's like 100 degrees, no moisture in the air whatsoever. And you don't notice that it's that hot because you're not sweating. Like here, if it was 100 degrees with the humidity, it'd be horrible. It's like being in the sauna. But up in the Sierra Mountains, it's clear, it's clean, it's dry. You don't notice it, and then you get dehydrated. And once you get dehydrated, you get a severe headache. So now imagine you're stuck on the 80th floor of your $5 million luxury condominium apartment, and there's no water. All right? So now what are you going to do? Well, let's go to the store and get some water. Well, first of all, the elevators aren't working.
Right.
So
and
now
the other angle too, a lot of whistleblowers have talked about this. Even if you're caught inside, you're inside a city, and people are like, "Well, I'll just get water out of the tap." there's talk of the enemy, Iran, Russia, or China, just cyber attacking that and putting poisons into it, and people dying that way. So you won't be able to get water that way. That's why I've been a huge advocate of getting like the 55-gallon drums, collecting water, get your water
Yep.
purification system, if you're at Berkey's or reverse osmosis, start stocking up your 5-gallon Primo water and get the Primo system kind of thing. Like, don't even rely upon tap. I mean,
No.
as bad as that is to begin with, I would never drink tap personally, but if you had to survive, I guess you would. But they're going to poison that stuff too. in the
Sure.
cities.
Sure, I wouldn't doubt it. And
Yep.
that's why I've got a 5-gallon distiller so I can make my own distilled water. But I guarantee you, all those people that
We got
live
a
in
few
those.
minutes left here, but I'm looking at the time. Don't mean to cut you off, but we only got like 4 minutes left. I didn't realize we've been talking for 45
I
minutes.
know,
I'm
it goes
like,
so
whoa,
fast.
time is flying. Time is flying.
I know, because when you sent me, what do we talk about today? And I'm going, I don't know.
I know, right? I like those shows, though. Those are my favorite shows. When you look back and you're like, it wasn't, it didn't go down as we necessarily thought. I like those shows.
Yeah. Anyways, if you are in one of those apartment buildings and the power goes out, the elevator's not going to work. You got to walk down 80 flights of stairs to the street level and then go to a grocery store and buy water. But guess what? Grocery stores aren't open. So then you think, okay, I'll get in my car and I'll drive out, to the suburbs and buy water there. You can't get out of the garage because the electronic gates are closed and they won't open. So now you got to walk 80 stories back up to your apartment with no water. You've got 4 days and then you're dead. There is no other way out. Not only that, in my story, the local street gangs will take over these places because there's not going to be cops. There's no police protection now. Imagine relying on the police during a blackout where it's total chaos. Well, then you're going to get the Somalians will take over this apartment, and the Albanians will take over that apartment. They'll move into the lobby. What do you think, security guards like I was are going to be able to fight off the Albanians?
Security guards versus the Albanians. Sounds like a good Saturday night B-rated movie.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to have firearms, So the gangs will take over these places. They'll loot it, starting from the bottom all the way to the top, and they'll steal everything and rape and murder anybody they feel like. There's nothing you can do about it. No help will come. So just to finish off, what I want to say, though, is we've talked about whether to bug out or shelter in place. And usually my best advice is to shelter in place. But if you live in the city, you better have a bug-out plan. You better have a bug-out plan because you cannot survive in a big city, and especially if you live in a high-rise. Sure, stockpile water and food, bring it up there. This will stretch out your lifespan by maybe a couple of weeks, but the gangs are still going to take over. They'll get to your apartment eventually. So the way to survive in a high-rise is get out of there. Get out of there as soon as the lights go out, if you can get your car out of the parking lot.
Right. And that's why, too, we didn't even talk about this. I'll pick up with my next guest here in a few moments. But that's one of the reasons why I believe they're taking out a lot of the infrastructure, such as the bridges, because they're going to make it hard for people to get out. Let's say you're even able to get out into a car and you want to head west, like if you're on the East Coast type of thing, and the bridges are down and out, you're not going anywhere. You're just going to be in a bottleneck jam.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's a whole subject we could cover next month.
Yeah.
Is because, without bridges, you are stuck. Try to go anywhere without crossing a bridge, and all those bridges are choke points. They could either be collapsed or taken out, or staffed with gang members.
Yeah. Well, that's what these pro-Palestinian protests have been trying to choke off bridges and right before airports and stuff. So, yeah. In any case, we do only got a few minutes left here. We got to give you shameless self-promotion time before you go, Stefan. And let's pick up on that next month with the attack on infrastructure.
Yeah, because it's going to be another facet. I haven't even covered that yet in any of my talks, but shameless self-promotion. Go to my website, formingcommunities.com, and buy my online course. It's only $95. There's like 16 hours worth of lectures and videos and all that. It'll teach you everything you need to form a community. Remember, we can't do this all by ourselves. You won't survive all by yourself unless you have an extended, a big family with 15, 20, 25, 30 people. You've got to make friends with your neighbors, with people that you know and trust, and form communities like we've formed.
Yeah.
So form a community, look after each other, formingcommunities.com. And, one of the best survival books is The Art of Urban Survival, if I say so myself. And like I said, I've already covered all of it. The psychopaths, the crime, the war, the riots, natural disasters, and it's all in there. It's like a Boy Scout manual. It really is. Very easy to read.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, folks, make sure you get behind Stefan's work. Listen, we still got to talk to the rebel dog himself, Travis. Got his own